Hi folks, and welcome to Power Negotiating. Today's lesson is going to be negotiating on the phone. And you're going to say, Reed, why do you want to negotiate on the phone? Every negotiation is a series of steps, and the first step is trying to determine exactly what the person's motivation is, because if they're not motivated, we don't want to deal with them. You can say, why do you not want to deal with a person that's not motivated? If they're not motivated, they're not going to sell the property for less than market value. If they're motivated, they just might. So the first thing I want to do before I talk to anybody is I want to ask myself, what's in it for them? So when I pick up the phone, I do two things. Number one, I introduce myself. And number two, I tell them what's in it for them in the phone conversation. It goes something like this. Hi, my name is Reed. I'm a real estate investor that buys properties for cash. I'd like to talk with the owner of the property about buying your property. Is now a good time to talk? If they're at all interested, they're going to respond to that. The next thing I do is I ask them a series of questions about the property. When I do this, I want to get them to explain a little bit about the property, to get them in their comfort zone, because most people have a script that they're going by. I want them to get comfortable with that, start answering questions for me, and I will take control of the conversation by asking questions. So once they have said three things about the property, I'll interrupt them, and it'll go something like this. Can you tell me something about the property? Okay, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. Wow, that sounds like a great house. Why in the world do you want to sell? What I did was I had them say three things about the property and then interrupted with wow, loudly enough that hopefully it jolted them. That sounds like a great property. You're doing an affirmation that that property looks like it's a good property. Pause. Why in the world do you want to sell? And then you shut up. Hopefully they'll answer. If they say something like, I'm moving, obviously if they sell the property, they're going to move out of the house. Great. When are you moving? Now that's an example of a closed-ended question. A closed-ended question can be answered in a single word or a single sentence. If they say, I'm moving to Seattle. Great. When are you moving? Again, another closed-ended question. And I want to know what their time crunch is. I'm looking for three things from a seller. Number one, they have to have a dreadful alternative. If they don't sell to me, what dreadful thing is going to happen to them? If they have 50 other people that are lined up to buy the property, they don't have a dreadful alternative, so they're not motivated. Number two, I'm looking for a time crunch. They have to sell, and they have to sell right now. Number three, I'm looking for pain. They have to feel agony and angst and just pain about this situation. Why do I care about that? If they're being foreclosed on tomorrow and they don't care, they really aren't motivated to help me. So I'm looking for those three things. And then I'm going to ask them this question. So I found out exactly when you need to move. Can you tell me a little bit about the property? They've already told me that. Now I ask them the question, about 3 or 4 questions into asking them questions. How many bedrooms? How many baths? What is the mortgage balance? If you start out with that lead question, they're going to say that's none of your business. But if I ask them a question, they answer it. I ask them another question, they answer it. I ask them another question, they answer it. What happens is I've established a pattern of behavior. I ask a question, they answer it. And what I do before I ask any of these questions is I ask them the question, I'm going to ask you a series of very personal financial questions. Now the reason I do that is so that I can determine if I can help you, because right now I don't know if I can, but I do know how to find out. Let me ask you a few questions. If I ask any question that's too personal, you tell me to read, it's none of your business. Is that fair? Then I start asking the questions. When I do this, I've received permission from them to ask those questions. Then I move forward. And once they tell me what the mortgage balance is, let's say it's $100,000, I want to find out what the property's worth. So I'm going to ask them a question. If you had to guess, what would you guess the property's worth? Whatever number they give you, find out how they got that number. Wow, that's an interesting number. Where did you come up with that? If they got it from an appraisal, okay, that's from a current appraisal within the last 6 months. That's fairly valid. If they say, well, that's what all the other properties down the street are selling for, okay, you're doing comparable sales. If they say, well, I don't know, I think that's what it's worth. Okay, that's great. You want to know what they think it's worth, not what you think it's worth, because once you have the address, you can find out what the property's worth fairly easily. And then I'm going to ask them this question. I don't know if I can, but if I can make an all-cash offer and close quickly, what's the lowest price you could take? What I said was, I don't know if I can make an all-cash offer, but what's your lowest price? What they heard was, I'm going to make an all-cash offer and close quickly. And I want them to give me a number. And that's going to be my maximum number that I'm going to consider. Anything, I'm not going to make an offer above that. Everything I'm going to offer is going to be below that. But I want to go ahead and try to get them to give me a number, and I can go down from there. Whatever number they give you, I want you to answer with this. Ooh! That's called a flinch. Ooh! Is that the best you can do? And just by saying those little words, those 4 little words, what's going to happen is most people are going to say, well, I could come down another $5,000. For 4 or 5 words, can you go ahead and lower that $5,000? Yeah, you probably can. Then I'm going to ask when I can see the property. And I want to find out who is the owner of the property, and if they're married, I want to have both parties there because I want to work with both the husband and the wife if they're married. If it's just one person, does anyone else have titles to the property? Can you go ahead and make a decision right now in case I want to go ahead and close on it quickly? I don't want to work with a husband and not have the wife there, or a wife and not have the husband there. I want to go ahead and deal with both of them at the same time so I can control the negotiation. And in our next session, we're going to deal with how to establish credibility once you meet them. This is Reed Sawyer, Power Negotiating.